All right, mic check, mic check. Well, sisters and fellas, it's time to get your groove on. I provide the funkified sounds to make you move on. Hitting these fools all proper like it's SOSODEF dynamite, right? Boom. Classic, classic, the brat and JD. Hello, America. Hello, world. Hello, you. It is your new best friend, Cashmere, California. And this is the Pod is Good podcast, aka the notorious PIG. I am a better rapper than I am a podcaster, but look at me now. I'm on episode 66. Pod is good. And all the time, if you know, you know. If you don't, keep listening. You will learn. Today might be my favorite episode ever. That's no knock to any of my guests because, wow, 66 episodes. I've had an amazing time through all first 65, learning, laughing, sharing, debating, going back and forth, and enriching every viewer that's watched the show, including myself. But today, it's a little different. Today gets a little more special. I'll say a lot more special. You'll find out why in just a second. Let's get it going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pod is Good podcast. You are looking at my wife, the better half of me, Mrs. California. How you doing, babe?
I'm good. How you doing, babe?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for being here. You look great. You look awesome as you
You,
always
thank
do.
you, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. You know, I've been excited about this. We've been talking about this, and I am right now like on pins and needles, like excited about what's gonna come out. Are you gonna try to out me on? Don't out me like in front of like in
Hey,
front
you
of.
don't out me, I won't out you.
Okay, deal. We'll go ahead and pinky on that. I got you. Okay, we good. All right. So first things first, tell everybody where are you from?
Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles, original,
Yep.
the OG.
Born and raised.
You know that's rare.
Yep.
It's rare to find somebody like born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yep.
You're like,
Jefferson and Crenshaw.
hello, what up, Jeff and Crenshaw? Is back by the soil. That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay, so Jefferson and Crenshaw, that was the hood. What is your fondest childhood memory that like just immediately comes to mind when you think about those streets you just said? You think about that time in your life. You think about the LA, California sun shining down on you as a kid, Jefferson and Crenshaw running around with the homies. What's one of those moments that just kind of hits you?
mm, that's tough because I think there are standout moments from every era kind of my life. Like my twin cousins Danny and Danielle, they're born a day before me and they used to live in walking distance to me. So summertime, spring break, I was hanging out with Danny and Danielle. But then, as a kid, I don't know if I remember it from memory or if I remember it from pictures, but I remember, standing on the grass in my diaper, drinking out the water hose with my dad. Um,
Oh, not the water hose.
the
Not
water
the
hose.
not the water hose hydration.
Yes, the
They
water
don't know
hose.
about that. They don't know about that.
Um, but then also, my kids coming up over there. So we have videos of Ezra in her walker walking down the street in front of the house.
Yeah, yeah.
So um, I have a lot.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I forgot. I almost broke protocol. We got to start with a top five. I don't know what I'm thinking about. We can
Oh
get into the
Lord.
story later. We can get into the
Oh
story, but we got to
Lord.
start with a top five. I have an interesting, brand new top five just for my wife. Are you
Oh
ready?
no. No.
Go and take a sip. Just one more sip. All right. I want to know your top five sitcom characters of all time. I mean, you got
Do
your
they have to be in order?
no. Well, if you have them in order, great. But you got your Sinclairs from Living Single. You got your Coles from Martin. You got all these different characters that are beloved to us. But for you, which five
Yeah.
stand out?
Definitely Hillary Banks. Um, Gina Waters. Uh,
Gina Waters or Gina Payne?
Both.
Okay, okay, okay.
Um, Vivian Banks.
Mm,
Uh, Issa Rae.
nice, nice.
Mm. I feel like there's a lot of people competing for that fifth spot.
That's when it gets tough. That last entry
Uh,
is always tough.
I don't
I
know.
see the trend. I see the trend
I
with
don't
the
know.
you like the outspoken,
Well,
big
well,
personalities.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
and so I'm at war right now between Joan Clayton
Mm,
and
girlfriends. Okay.
Maya. I can't remember Maya's last name, but they were both very
But
nuanced.
girlfriends.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Joan.
Okay. That's a
Yeah.
good list.
Yeah.
That's a solid list. Good job. Hey. So, if out of all those that you just spoke of, your
Mhm.
top five in no particular order,
Mhm.
if you had to pick one of them to be you in your
Mhm.
life depiction, who do you
Mhm.
pick?
Mm. I think I'm gonna go with Joan.
Joan?
Yeah, Joan. We are in the same career field, and I feel like Joan is just as empowered on one hand and awkward on the other hand as I am. So I feel like Joan represents sometimes, and then she acts a fool and completely embarrasses herself sometimes. So I feel like Joan would play me very
Would you say girlfriends top five shows of all time?
well. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. There hasn't
and people
been
didn't.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go.
People didn't really realize it though at the time.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think as many people had access to it then as they do now. And
Yeah.
so I think the majority of people, men, women, no matter what shade, can identify with multiple characters on that show.
Yeah.
Whereas, back then it was a black show,
Right.
which I think is why it didn't last as long as it should have.
Yeah. It seems like that happens with a lot of the classics. It's like, you don't really realize Martin is what it is until later on. You don't
Hmm.
realize the Fresh Prince is what it is until later on. And I don't know, do you think it's that comparative thing that happens later when you look at the new shows and you're like, man, it ain't like what it was, or is it just the nostalgia of it because it touched you at a certain time? Like, what do you think creates that feeling of like, man, you don't know it then, but later on, you really appreciate it.
Well, I think some shows are just popular before your time. Like
Mm,
when Girlfriends was on the air, I was younger. I couldn't really relate to the content.
yeah,
And now that I'm older with my husband and kids and a career, I can identify with a lot of the stuff that each one of those women went through. I can see William and some of the men that I know.
yeah,
So uh, when you experience things as an adult and you are living in the same time frame as the characters in the show, I think it feels a little bit different to you.
yeah. That makes sense. I'm glad you brought up William. William, I kind of
Mm.
forgot about William, and it feels like my younger memories of William was like, you corny, like what are you doing? But then like when I got older, then it was kind of like you're respectful.
Hmm.
You're hanging out with a lot of girls. You can't just be the creep that's trying to lay with all of them. You have great restraint because these are all beautiful girls you're hanging with. And then they're coming to you to talk about their problems and issues. Like, you could have been an opportunist. But William, he was like, hey, matter of fact, I'm going to go mess with the security guard. I'm,
Hmm.
I'm going to go over
Hmm.
there real quick.
Hmm.
These my friends. That's respectable.
Yeah, William gave you balance. Like William for sure had his stop moments, but William he was also a consummate professional. And William chose, you could tell that William chose to pursue his profession and put his romantic pursuits on the back burner, which is why he was so awkward with women. Um, but yeah, William was underrated as a
Yeah,
character for sure.
I agree. I completely agree. Real quick to the chat, we got Christine jumped in and said hi. What's going
Hey.
on, Christine? Um, Tina said definitely Issa Rae. Respect, respect. Jimmy, we see you too. I'm pretty sure you're saying nice to the list. Understood. That was a really great list. That was a really great list, and I kind of tried to catch you off guard, and you handled it like a champ,
Mm,
like a champ.
thank you.
All right, so back to this California lifestyle that I live. Back to living in LA, because
Mm-hmm.
living and growing up in LA is, I think, something that like is almost like a mystery to a lot of people. Because when people think about LA, they think about Hollywood. You know, especially around the world, we have people that watch us from Africa, from South America. It's like their idea of LA is like vacation, celebrity, beaches, you know, fame, and all of that. But for you grew up in it more like your reality. Do you feel like that that other side of LA ever penetrated you, or do you feel like it was always like very separate from you? Did you ever aspire to it, or was it completely different actually being in the city from such a young age for your whole life?
Yeah, what people think of when they think about LA, I won't say that it was completely different from my lived experience because, being in close proximity to LA, I was able to go attend the taping of Girlfriends Live.
Right.
Um, I have tons of autographs in my photo album from child stars that I admired when I was young. Um, but it was never anything that had any kind of powerful hold on me. I never looked at it like I was living in La La Land, like a lot of other
Yeah.
people think about it. Um, LA was just, like any other city. You have your folks that live in New York, and you have your famous people that come out of Brooklyn, and you have your regular people that come out of Brooklyn. So
Yeah.
for LA, it was where my family was and my friends were, where I had my first jobs.
Yeah.
Um, but LA was just LA to me.
And speaking of LA being like every other city, it feels like the gentrification that's been going on in LA over the
Mm,
past 5, 10 years is heavy.
hmm
So does your old block look like it did when you used to hopscotch and jump rope on it?
No,
No.
um, it is a lot different. It is still a mixture of the folks who used to be there and the new folks, so it hasn't completely been taken over yet. Um, and in an attempt to be as politically correct as possible, um, you see people walking down the street in a manner where they used to be afraid to do so.
Mm,
Um, so it is different. You see different businesses that are popping up that serve the new residents of that community. There's
yeah.
a ceramics and pottery shop in walking distance from my parents' house.
Yeah.
We didn't know nothing about ceramics and pottery. They didn't put it there for us.
Right.
So, in 5 minutes, it's going to be a Starbucks on the corner, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
there are new businesses that are popping up to serve the new residents of the community. And then you have your existing businesses that unfortunately will soon get pushed out. You have residents that are now unable to afford the homes that they used to live in because rent is increasing. Um, and so it's bittersweet because I like the development. I like the way that the appearance of a lot of these homes and apartment buildings are improving.
Yeah.
Um, but then with that improvement, we can't afford to live there anymore.
Yeah. It is a very nuanced conversation. I know we've kind of had our discussions about it, and I would like to hear um, Jimmy in the chat said folks are walking around, walking dogs and pushing strollers. Definitely a lot more. That's very true.
And at night. At night. You
That's
didn't
true.
see, if you didn't look like us, you did not see us out walking around after dark.
Yeah.
But now folks are out walking dogs and just having conversations and almost being completely oblivious to what's going on the other side of the block.
Right. And so with that, I mean, you've experienced both sides, right?
Hmm.
And I'm pretty sure there's good and bad on both sides. So as a kid, you probably didn't notice it as much because you were younger, but you have all the spots that you know. You have the local restaurants. You have the local barber shops and the beauty supply stores. You know, you got places that your family frequents, that your friends go to, that feel like this is our neighborhood. But you also have the places that are empty because maybe they can't be there, or the places that um that maybe they're getting broken into, or whatever's going on because they don't have the security or the staff that can maybe even put in security systems. So you got kind of got good and bad. Then later on, you have this new wave of new money that comes in, but like you said, they bring in new residents where the area looks better, it's cleaner, it's brighter. However, it don't feel like home anymore. Now it just feels like what you said earlier, every other city. So if you had to choose, if you were over city planning and you had to either say, nope, let's keep it what it is, let it be, or let's bring in some new influx of money and business and all of that and let it go where it takes us, which direction would you go?
I would definitely say no and keep it as is. Um, Reason being, we haven't yet given ourselves enough time to really come around to the idea of buying back the block, right? We have a lot of our Black media personalities, and we have a lot of our Black business owners who are worth a great deal of money, and they're now perpetuating the idea of buy back the block, reinvest in your community, reinvest in the school district. And as Black folks, we don't really move quickly with ideas like that. We do come around to it, as we saw during the pandemic, where everybody wanted to buy Black, but it took us a while. We've been talking about recirculating our own dollars for a really long time.
True.
So if we were to let some of these businesses stay closed and get vandalized maybe for another year or two until we really tap into that come back home to where you were instead of getting money and hitting the road, then we have some more of your high end Black beauty supplies, and we have some more of your well kept and well staffed Black restaurants, and you have clothing stores, and you have the opportunity for folks to open up a grocery store in your neighborhood to really keep the money in house. But if we allow other folks to come in and they are paying more for some of those leases for some of these storefronts, then the prices are never going to go back down to where they were. And then it's going to be even longer before we're able to afford to set up shop in our own neighborhoods.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always a struggle because then we were preaching that, as a community, like people come back to your neighborhoods, put money back into the neighborhoods. Don't just, fly away the moment that you have, a lifestyle that could actually help build the neighborhood up. But then you get a slap in the face like Nipsey, someone who is doing good for the neighborhood, someone that's staying in the area, and then tragedy strikes because there's also, evil around every corner.
I think that Nip was a very nuanced situation. Yes, Nip was doing amazing things in the neighborhood. He was employing a lot of people and he was empowering a lot of people. However, Nip still had a past. So, I mean, yes, you can move out of the neighborhood, but that doesn't mean that your past sins are not going to catch up with you. Um, so I think there are a lot of people who walk away feeling like Nip was doing so many amazing things. If Nip had left the neighborhood, then what happened would not have happened. And I just don't think that that's true. There are pastors who did dirt a long time ago, and sometimes your past still comes back to haunt
Catches up.
you.
That
So
matches up. Yeah, that's true.
so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that makes sense. He's not. That's not the cleanest example. It's not the
Right.
same as if Irvin Johnson comes back and wants to do things in the neighborhood. Like I get what you're saying,
Right.
especially if that neighborhood is where your dirty secrets lie.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. In the
And
chat. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and to add to that, we forget though that you Nip was not in a position to walk around without security. Like, yes, this is the storefront that you own, but you are still Nip, and you still have the past and the reputation that you have. So you are not in a position anymore to just walk around the way that you used to. So we have to make smarter decisions too once we are in more of a position of influence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Um, Jimmy Valentine says in the chat, a different challenge is that the resources are not as readily accessible, available and accessible to people of color in their own communities. Instead, folks obtain those resources and jump into neighborhoods.
I agree with
Unfortunately,
that.
very true. Unfortunately,
I
very
agree
true.
with that.
But we've kind of dealt with that in our own way because you always have the X factor of children.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we don't like to admit it, one thing that we can say is that in certain neighborhoods, the parenting of other children may not be up to par, right? Whatever the reasons are, not even blaming the parents. There might be systemic reasons, they might be reasons that are passed down, whatever it is. But we do know that it is a truth. And so when you're now trying to make a better lifestyle for your family and thinking about the safety of your children and thinking about the influences on your children, then you're starting to look at school ratings and you know academic programs and things of that nature that unfortunately start to pull you out of your very neighborhood. And so I would love for Jimmy to kind of speak to, if he has an idea that we could talk about, of how to help that dynamic, because I think he's right with the resources aren't available, so then you got to go outside to get the resources, but then once you're there, you're not really going backwards. You know what I mean?
But I think that that goes back to what we were speaking about before with not leaving your neighborhood once you're doing a lot better financially. I think we are at a time in 2024 where those of us from underrepresented communities are doing better financially than we ever have. So imagine if all of those six-figure earners still lived in the communities where they grew up. Now you can pool some of your resources to help others open businesses. You can put money into your schools. But I think, too, to your point about um, discipline of other children, we also got away from the way that our parents grew up with a village raising all of the kids. So nowadays, you can't say anything to anybody else's children. You see somebody
Right,
else's kid acting up in front of your house, you can't say nothing because then if you do, then the parents don't speak to you anymore.
right,
So,
right, right, right.
um, if we went back to the way that things used to be, where we felt more like a community and we collaborated a lot more and a lot better, I think a lot of those problems would be solved.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough because we speak about it from the position that we occupy in the neighborhood, but you know let me put myself in, trying to think of someone who made it out of a neighborhood and moved out somewhere else. Let's say Snoop,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's say Uncle Snoop decides, I'm not moving out of East Long Beach, I'm just gonna stay here. I got money now, I'm gonna just stay here. But because he grew up broke, he still might want the Maybach,
Mm-hmm.
he still might want a Porsche as well. He might even want that new Cybertruck. He kind of wants some stuff to play around. I kind of want a basketball court in the back. The houses around here, they don't have enough land. I either have to move out to Chino to get a bigger place to have all this stuff, or I gotta buy like two or three of these houses and build. And guess what? If I do that now, I got the nicest cars on the block. I got the nicest everything on the block. So how does looking at it from Snoop's eyes, he might be like, bro, I love the hood, but I'm not styling around in a McLaren driving down the hood or parking in front of my house in the hood.
I could be looking at life in the hood with rose colored glasses, but I think that we don't give our young people enough credit.
Mm,
Um, I think that they go for the things that they are only minimally exposed to. So there might be an issue with him driving around in a McLaren because the young people that are in his neighborhood seeing him driving around in that McLaren are not exposed to what that kind of lifestyle actually looks like. So if our millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires spent more time exposing some of these young people to the business end, started incentivizing them to perform a little bit better than they had before, keep their nose clean, I think we might see a decrease in a lot of the foolishness that's going on. But there's still so many degrees of separation between the McLaren and the young folks who have their eye on the McLaren. Then they don't really see a path to get there besides I see it and I'm gonna take it.
mm, yeah.
Rose colored glasses, possibly.
You said what? Rose colored glasses? Maybe, but it's valid. It's valid. It's a very valid point. I don't know who begins the process,
Right,
which is probably the hardest part.
right.
But even going back to your idea, not your idea, but your um speaking of the idea of a village,
Hmm.
if you had um a Snoop, a Dre, Cheryl Swoops, Kobe, you have groups of people that were showing it together. Not so no one felt like they were showing off because that's also a problem. But somehow finding a way to kind of bring people in. We're doing these car show events. Come check it out. Sit in the car. Everybody, whatever. Opening their eyes to that, then yeah, you're right. Maybe there's a possibility that it doesn't feel like, ooh, I need that. I gotta take that. It's like, oh yeah, that's what's up. That's Snoop's McLaren. He let me sit in it. It's crazy inside. Like, it almost feels like he one of you now that just maybe has a few more things than you, but y'all still the same. Instead of he way up here, you way down here, and that you have that disparaging distance.
I do want, I know we're using Uncle Snoop as an example, but I do want to put some respect on Uncle Snoop because he is one of us, one of our OGs that is actually giving back and he is doing the work in the neighborhood. So respect Uncle Snoop.
That's a fact. That's actually why I picked him because it couldn't be taken the wrong way because he's actually
Right,
doing it. You'd hate
right.
to pick somebody that ain't doing nothing. They like,
And they feel like you calling
you
them out.
trying to
Yeah,
tell me that?
yeah.
Like, hey man, hey, do your little podcast and leave me alone, bro. Um, all right, so you lived in LA. You have a
Hmm.
great understanding of the city, but you, like very few people that I know, have like lived in three of the largest metropolitan cities of the United States,
Hmm.
in Los Angeles, in Atlanta, and in New York City.
Yes.
And I would ask you which one was the best, but I feel like that's kind of obvious.
Hmm.
So um I'll ask I guess a different question. If you had to send somebody to each of those cities to do one thing, what do you send them to do in each one of those cities?
Mm.
You're like the ultimate tour guide. That's where they want to go. What do I do? One thing, like one thing that's just going to capture that particular city.
Mm. In New York, I would send them there to network. Atlanta, I'd send them there to start a business, and in California, I'd send them there to retire.
That's it. You switched the question. But I like the answer. I was saying like a tourist. Like, what thing are they gonna go do? Like, go look at. Like,
But there,
but I like that. I like that.
I think each of those places, it depends on who you're talking to and who you're sending.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because
That's cool.
different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, no, that was cool. That was cool to network in New York, start a business in Atlanta, and then
Hmm.
retire in LA.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right. I know you dreaded it. We're at the halfway point right now. I know you've been waiting. Everybody watching has been waiting. Thank you, everybody that's watching. If you have any questions for Erica, any comments, please put it in the chat. I'll get it on the screen as fast as possible. Um, Christine also said California. I don't know if she was selecting California to be the best, which I will
Yep, she
agree.
was. She
I'm
was.
going to assume that's what it was. All right. We will now play the game that Erica's been waiting on called Hip Hop Parade. Ho, hey, yeah. This is the lyric quiz game. I will put some popular lyrics on the screen. Your job is to finish the line or lines that you remember as best as possible. There are 3 songs that we will reference, all by 3 different classic artists. I trust that you will do well. Are you ready? You want another shot?
No.
You want to go and
No.
take one more? All right, here we go. The first one. We're gonna start easy, okay? We're gonna relax. We're gonna relax. Everybody in the chat, if you know it, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I want a girl with extensions in her hair, bamboo earrings, at least 2 pair.
A Fendi bag and a bad attitude. That's all I need to get me in a good mood.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you. They all need to be easy like that.
Nice work. Nice work. That's one. One down. One down. You batting 1,000 already. All
Hmm.
right, we're going to song number 2. It's funny how money changes the situation. Miscommunication lead to complication.
My imagination don't but show equation. I was on the humble, you on every station.
Ah! Let's go.
Okay, I got it right. Okay. I was like, was
Let's go. I don't know if
that
you said emancipation or imagination, but you get it.
No, thank you.
You get the point. You get the point. Honey, you are 2 for 2. 2 for
Thank you. Thank
2.
you. Thank
Very
you.
good work. Very good work. Last one. Song number 3. Is anybody in the chat saying it? Let me see. Let me see. Uh yeah, I think Christine is cheering you on. She said, yes, Erica. She said, you go, girl. Yes. I love a good little cheerleading squad. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Keeps it moving. All right, last one. I think you got this. I think you got this, babe.
I better.
Because number 2 was kind of the hardest one.
Oh, okay.
All right. She needed cheddar, and I understood that. Looking for cheese that don't make her a hood rat.
I need the line before that. I need the line before that. Um,
You got it. You got it.
nope, I don't.
Okay, for
I
you.
don't.
I'm gonna start it at the top to get you there. All right,
Okay.
you
Okay.
ready?
Yep.
You're getting more cheers from Tina on the sideline. Okay. All right.
All right.
Y'all know how I met her. We broke up and got back together to get her back. I had the sweater.
Nope. Nope. It's not. It's. I used to love it by comment, and if the song was on, I could rap the whole song. But
Oh,
I can't.
you
What's the
can't.
next word?
The next word.
Uh huh.
Right. Um, I'll give you 2 words.
Okay.
In fact.
Nope. Nope.
Mm. In fact,
Nope.
she's a queen to me. Her light beams on me. I love it
I
when
love
she
it because she
sings to
sings
me.
to me. Yep.
Good job. Good job anyway. Two
Yep.
out of three. I can't believe Common. I just knew the Common was like the gimme. But I know what
And
it's
you know
like.
I love that song.
I
You
know
know I
you
love
do.
that song.
I know you do. But I think that's what's always interesting about. Once again, thank you for playing Hip Hop Hooray. Great job. 2 out of 3. Beautiful. You pass.
Thank you.
One
Thank
thing
you.
that's very interesting about that game is that you notice how much you don't know certain songs. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's some songs I start and I'm like, huh. And it's just like you, it's like if it was on, I feel like I know all of it. And it's like, well, maybe I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm
Mm-hmm.
just hearing them and kind of following
Mm-hmm.
more than I just know it.
Yep.
But
Yep.
that's fun. That's fun. All right. In the comments, Stefan said you got this. He believed in you and you did great. You did
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Um, are you making this up? What, these lyrics? Well, because you don't know them, Christine? Is that what it is? You think I'm just making up songs? I'm not. Every single song. The first one was LL Cool J. The second one was Lauryn Hill, and the third was Common, um, uh, Common Sense, what he used to call himself. She laughed. Jetty Taylor says, "Go, mom," from Ezra. Ezra's watching. What up, Ezra? Good job. And then, yay, Erica. You're killing it right now. You're killing it. You're killing it. Thank you, everybody in the chat. We appreciate the energy. We appreciate that. All right. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
we talked a lot about your early life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and go from BJ. What up, BJ? And Christine asks, "What does she get? What prize does she get?" All of this,
I know that's right.
all
I
the
know that's
yays
right.
and the claps and the. That's it. Oh, I mean, what more could I possibly even come up with? Maybe I'll give her, a little round of applause. Hey, job, great job. Okay, so now you are a mother,
Mm-hmm.
you're a wife, you're a professional. You have a lot of roles and titles in your life that you didn't in your earlier days, in Los Angeles, obviously. Um, how has life been for you, over the past few years? I know there's a lot of adjustments with COVID and the world changed itself. Like what changes do you feel like, have influenced you and been big in your life recently?
Ooh, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. Um, in the last few years,
Yeah. I mean, you can put your
uh,
number on. You can go since COVID, you can go since being a mom, you can go since being
mm,
a wife, you can kind of pick your starting point.
yeah. Well, I think being a mom, not I think, I know, being a mom completely changes your life trajectory, right? You have someone else to be responsible for, you have someone else to be an example for. So when your kids are watching you on a podcast, you can't curse. Um, so there are a lot of things that change when you become a parent. Um, and then, there are a lot of things that change when you become a wife too. There are a lot of things that you have to do for people, and in doing for people, it makes you realize how much you also have to do for yourself. um, we hear a lot of people talk about how if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. But as moms, that's easy to remember and very difficult to execute.
Yeah.
um, so, before, like in my younger years, being in LA, I was at Runyon Canyon all the time. Since
Mm.
I've had children, I haven't been to Runyon not once. So,
It's still there,
you
by
have.
the way, just so you know, it's still there.
Oh, I'm sure.
They ain't taking it
I'm sure, and getting better every day. um, so there are a lot of things you have to find a way to make time for. You have to make time for your spouse when you're a parent. And those two worlds are constantly competing for each other's space.
away.
Um, and then being a professional, you want to continue to pursue, you want to continue to climb, you want to continue to learn, but then you also have to find balance in your parenting and your spousing. Um, so adding layers definitely changes life, but it makes it more fun too. You have people to share things with, you have little kids to experience adventure with in a completely different way. I experienced camping and being outdoors differently as a parent than I did when I was the child and my parents were taking me
Yeah.
camping and jet skiing and everything else. So it gives you a different perspective, um, but it also reminds you to enjoy the seat that you're sitting in.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking to, oh, sorry, in the chat, Jetty put up I love you, mom. I'm gonna assume this is from one of the kids. Probably Eden, since she's the only one
Hmm.
we haven't heard from. So what up, Eden? Um so let's say you can let's say it's back to the future. You get to jump in the time machine and go back several years, around 10, with right before you're a mother, and you get to impart your 10 years of wisdom in being a mother onto that girl. What do you think are like maybe the top three things you would try to tell her to guide her to make her journey more enjoyable and, more memorable, more relaxing, less stressful, whatever? What would you tell her?
Invest time in building relationships. Um, Friendships, close female friendships are critically important as a young woman, a wife, a mother.
Yeah.
So definitely getting some gal pals, um, practicing mindfulness and awareness so that you are always able to still be in the moment. um, when you're not really aware, there are a lot of little things that you miss or a lot of big moments that you forget.
Mm,
So definitely being in the moment, and then making time to have fun and play. We see it with kids and how much they learn through play, but adults like to play too. Adults really like to have fun. Adults like to draw and color. Adults like to build things with Play-Doh. Adults like to race down the street and ride bikes. um, and those are just some examples of how kids play, but making time for play and not taking life so seriously, I think
mm.
helps you to really enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are really good. That was um, relationships,
Hmm.
awareness, and fun.
Hmm.
That's that's quality. That's quality right there. You just had a big uh, finish line that you crossed recently.
Mm.
Yeah. You want to tell everybody what that finish line was?
Yeah, I just finished my paralegal certificate.
Yeah. 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 I know.
Um,
Make sure. Oh, let me.
so thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished my paralegal certificate just about a year after graduated with my bachelor's. Um, so yeah, I went back to school as a old lady wife and mom.
Old lady. Went back to school, which is commendable.
Thank you,
Very, very difficult to do for someone who gets out of school, even if they didn't have kids or a husband. It's difficult to get the energy back up to go back into school life. So to do it with a husband and three children, absolutely incredible.
thank you,
Sticking through it and finishing, tops, right?
thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. So, um, I know we talk about, one of our passions is like true crime,
Mm,
documentaries and watching court cases. And that's, I feel like I see that parallel in you, like, your educational interests and then even your enjoyment interests line up into that space. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about maybe a case that's going on right now that you're interested in, or um, anything that you've heard in the judicial system or criminal justice system recently that you'd like to talk about? Just any points of reference.
Oh, well, the
Let's
two
start
big
it real
ones
quick.
that.
Jenny Taylor, clap, 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 clap. And Val's girl says, kudos.
Thank y'all.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
y'all.
you deserve that. You deserve that. One more shit.
Um, leave me alone. Yeah, the two big ones obviously that come to mind obviously are the situation that's going on with Puff right now and the
Mm,
young. I guess maybe a little less common is the Young Thug Rico case.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so
Big case.
the Rico case is a big one just because of the precedent that it's going to set with rap lyrics.
Hmm.
Um, and then the situation with Puff just is mind blowing. Though I guess it shouldn't be because we just did this
True,
with
true,
a few different people. So
true. So let's talk about the Rico case first a little bit. The YSL case. So first off, for anybody listening that doesn't know, um, can you in simplicity break down what a Rico case would be? Because I'm pretty sure people hear it, they kind of understand that it might deal with weapons or criminal, like, but they don't maybe don't really understand. So from the graduate,
we did
what is
not
a
talk
Rico
about this in
case?
paralegal school. um, so a RICO case is typically brought against an organization that is accused of committing crimes in furtherance of that particular organization. So, Young Thug and the YSL gang are being accused of selling drugs, committing murders, robberies, um, things of that nature in furtherance of the YSL gang with Young Thug as its head, basically. So you typically hear RICO cases tied to mobs or much larger gangs like BMF, your Black
Hmm.
Mafia family.
Yeah.
Um, but I think this is the first time where we've really seen a rapper who's been on the cover of like Vogue um, being charged with racketeering, right, as the head of an organization.
Yeah.
Um, so that, I guess that's an overview of Rico.
Yeah. And so, thus far, in your opinion, who's winning, the prosecution or the defense?
I think the defense is winning solely because the prosecution has to convince the jury that each count in the indictment is true and each defendant being accused has done what they're being accused of. So if one is unfounded, then they all go. So I think that's a really, really hefty burden for any prosecution, especially for this particular group of defendants.
So they have to make sure that every single person.
Right.
Wow.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, that does make it big.
Yeah.
Now I heard them throw out that there might be potential um, RICO charges with the Diddy situation.
Hmm.
Um, do you think that could stick?
I don't know because I don't know enough about what law enforcement actually knows. We know what TMZ says, we know what Law and Crime says. While I have read some of the complaints that have come out against Diddy, we don't really have all of the information. So that's difficult to say.
Yeah.
I if we believe what is being alleged that he is moving drugs from one place to another and moving people from one place to another and forcing people to do certain things, they still have to prove that it's in furtherance of any particular organization,
Right.
because Rico is organized crime. So if it's just Diddy all by his lonesome,
Yeah.
then I doubt it.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that that was part of the reason that they were part of the reason that they were seeking the RICO against them was because if they don't go in that direction, then the statute of limitations might apply to a lot of the complaints, and they may not be able to pursue them. But with the RICO, then the statute of limitations is like out the window. But then you add the whole, you know, organization that has to be in furtherance of, and I guess that makes it tough there as well.
I think that uh, a lot of prosecutors get caught up in trying to make a really big case. Whereas, you know, the Lil Rod complaint that just came out, if all of those allegations are true, that's enough to put Diddy away for a really long time.
Right.
So instead of trying to make this huge RICO case with
Right.
charges that may or may not stick, why don't you just prove the allegations in the most recent complaint? You know, you're not up against the statute of limitations, and then
Yeah.
you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you get him on the gun charges, if you get him on all the drug charges, if you get him on the sexual assault charges, you get him on the sex trafficking charges, he
Yeah.
ain't gonna ever get out.
Right.
He's 50,
Now he's you know, innocent till proven guilty, right?
right?
But your gut, what does your gut say? And you know, we talk about this a lot with celebrity and rumors, and you know, there's no smoke without fire. However, we do know that there are money grabs, there are power plays, there are people that are just upset and want to take people down because they didn't get what they, I mean, there's jealousy, there's all kinds of things that are real, you know what I mean, that happen right here in your birth city. So what does your gut tell you about the Diddy situation?
There's something really stinky going on.
Mm,
Um, whether I believe every single allegation, I don't really have enough information to say. But as far as do I think that there is something unsavory going on? Yes.
mm,
Um, and I say that with almost full confidence just because we know what the industry is like. We
yeah,
know how easy it is to wield power over folks when you have a ton of money and a ton of influence.
right,
Um, and I mean, it's kind of hard to see a lot of people coming out with this much granular detail about certain things that have gone on, and
right,
people who are uninvolved,
right,
people who don't have any skin in the game,
yeah,
um, to come out and say, "Oh, my relative was treated in this particular manner," or for Cassie to reveal the details that she did in
yeah,
her complaint, which was ultimately settled. I mean,
fast.
it's kind of it's hard for you to make that kind of stuff up and still walk away with a ungodly amount of money.
It is disappointing, and I mean, I don't know, I don't really pay attention to, you know, everybody else's culture all the time, but in our culture,
Mm,
we've seen some big legends um fall,
yep,
you know, take huge falls from grace,
yep.
from our R. Kellys to our Bill Cosby's to our Russell Simmons to our allegedly Diddy's. I mean, it's just like yikes.
Yeah,
Yikes.
we don't deal with our trauma. We get famous and we throw money at it.
Yeah,
Um, you know, even your Will Smith, like Will Smith had, and I know you're gonna shame me for saying this, but Will Smith had like a really big emotional breakdown in front of the entire world
that's
because
true.
of unprocessed trauma.
That's true.
So yes, we don't condone the violence. We don't condone his actions. And yes, we feel like he should have been a bigger person and kind of dealt with that backstage. But
Yeah.
we have so much baggage that we as people are scared to really confront.
Mm,
And so we walk around still with a chip on our shoulder. We try to bury it with money and women or men and drugs and all kinds of other things, and then it ends up being the destroyer of
yeah.
us. There are a lot of folks who get famous because of that chip that's on their shoulder. They are seeking some real validation and they use that to really propel them into the limelight.
Mm,
Um, and then it still just ekes out after a while.
And so, what are your thoughts on how to deal with that trauma? Because I know oftentimes that trauma is deep. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Sometimes it's so deep they don't even know it. You know, they may not even realize that they're going to be triggered. You know, later on at an award show, it just happens. And so, you know, how do we deal with that kind of trauma that's deep like that?
Um, I mean, I don't want to be another one of those people that's just throwing around the therapy buzzword right now because it is super popular and everybody's talking about mental health and it is extremely important. I'm not downplaying it at all. I go to therapy myself, but um, I think we need to find ways of being honest with ourselves.
Yeah,
I don't think that anyone who has undealt with trauma doesn't know that they have unprocessed trauma. I don't. You live with yourself all the time. Eventually, you are going to realize this thing keeps bothering me, and I keep
yeah,
acting a fool every time it does. Um, so I think everyone has a way of coping. Journaling is great for people. Taking walks and kind of just talking to yourself to get some of your thoughts from out of your head, out of your mouth.
yeah,
um, if you don't want to talk to a therapist, talk to a friend. um, I think there are a lot of ways for people to actually identify, even if it's just writing down on a piece of paper, um, this is what I think is going on
mm,
with me. I'm not suggesting that anybody take that and then go consult Dr. Google and diagnose themselves, but being able to actually document and be aware of the things that are going on with you, then you might start to notice some patterns, and then you can take that and start to process it. Um, but I mean, there are a lot of really good therapists out there.
yeah. That's a fact. There's actually an online sponsor that if they sponsored me, I'd say their name right now, but you
Mm,
got to call me. I'm not
mm,
saying it.
mm.
You got to talk to me first. I missed in the chat, Jetty Taylor. That's my mom, in case y'all don't know. Says, "I love you, mom. You are awesome." And Dad, how do I get onto the podcast? So just so you guys know, so that's my mom, Jetty Taylor, and our children are with her right now watching the show. So that's why we're getting the chime ins from the kids, and I'll get all of y'all on the show. How about that? We'll have an episode with all the kids. I'll have questions for you. We'll have fun. We'll get that done soon. Um, applause is probably from you getting your certificate, Cuba Gooding Jr.
No,
Oh,
he's
oh,
also
oh,
caught up in the
yeah,
Diddy
Cuba
thing.
Gooding
Yeah,
Jr. And that Diddy and he had his whole situation even before that. Yeah, I got a crazy story about Cuba Gooding Jr. real quick. I'll say it right after this. Um, Ernestine said that she enjoyed it. Christine said you have to get help. Most of the time, we can't solve our issues on our own. I agree,
yeah,
Erica. Very, very
yeah.
true. Very true. Jimmy says very thoughtful and expansive discussion, but was driving, so cannot comment as much. But great just to listen to the two of you. Kudos, appreciate it. That's how to work out. All right, thank y'all. So my one of my favorite cousins, Sherrard, was out here earlier when I first moved to LA. And like, he used to come out here, spend vacations, birthdays, come to party, hang out. It was great. And every time he came, he wanted to do some LA stuff, do some touristy things and maybe some things he didn't know about. Of course, we got to go to Roscoe's and things like that. But then he wants to also know about, the other burger spots and the other this and that maybe he didn't know about, like really take in Los Angeles. However, there are many people on this planet that indulge in uh, lighting a certain plant on fire that that Jamal, my weed chemist, was on here. What was that? Episode 46, I think. I can't remember. 47, something like that. But yeah, so he needed a little bit you know, he needed a little
Little Mary Jane.
life to the party.
Mm-hmm.
A little life to the party, a little medication, right? So I don't. Didn't then, don't now, never have. So I don't know nothing. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know who to go get. I don't know nothing. So I just start asking people that I knew, like, hey, you know anybody? And nah, you know anybody? Nah. And then all of a sudden I asked this girl, and she's like, oh yeah, I know somebody. She's like, he's over in Northridge. I bet. So I take him over, blah, blah, blah. He goes inside. He's in there for a minute. I'm like, man, is he doing it in there? Like, this is up in front of some random house in the middle of Northridge. Like, all right, whatever. He gets back in the car and he's like, man, I just bought that from Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, don't be telling that man's business. You implicating him in crimes.
Hey, not a crime anymore. Statute of limitations was a very long time ago, and he got enough stuff to deal with. They wouldn't even care about this little petty stuff. I was like, what? Cute. And I'm early in LA, so I'm still like, stars are still stars to me, right? Like I'm younger, stars aren't stars anymore. Like so many have fallen. Now I'm like, I don't know, there's a question mark behind every celebrity to me now. But back then, stars were stars. So I'm like, whoa. But I know him from Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I know him from kid shows. He's selling what? Like I just blew my mind. So me and him always bring that up because uh, who who would have thunk that he was gonna come out here looking for the LA experience and then purchase from a celebrity themselves?
I mean, if that's not the LA experience,
That's it. That's that,
wow.
that's it. All right, we are wrapped for time, but I would like to ask a question. Top ramen or cup
Hmm.
of noodles?
Ooh, top ramen.
Top ramen over a cup of noodles. Tell me why.
Yeah. Because cup of noodles, you have to add the amount of water that they say add for it to
Mm,
be made correctly. But with
mm,
top ramen, you can add too much water, let it cook, pour some of the water out, put the
mm.
fixings in there and your own ingredients, and then pour some more water out. Listen, I got
Ooh.
experience with top ramen, okay? Um, so yeah, top ramen you can kind of make it do what you want it to do, whereas cup of noodles is like same old standard.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. Top ramen over a cup of noodles. My love, my beautiful, my queen. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. This was
Thanks for
great.
having me, babe.
You were awesome. You did a
Thank you.
fabulous job.
Thank
2 out of 3 in hip hop hooray. And I know any other time you'd have knocked out that third one. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. But
you.
as we get out of here, let me go to the chat one more time. Tina says, great show. Appreciate you, Tina. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the energy. Christine says, congratulations. Love your show. Thank you all the hearts, all the love. We appreciate it. Please, if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. Please. Thank you for all the comments. Share the broadcast. I think that Erica brought some very, very great information today, whether it be the knowledge that she would impart on a new mom, or the conversation about our communities, or even the breakdown about RICO cases. Like we kind of went in a few different directions, which we always do. Always have great conversations with you. So as we sign out, pod is good
All the time.
and all the time.
Pod is good.
All right, babe. Thank you so much. Love you.
Love you, babe.
Bye. See you next time. All right, y'all. That's it. That's my girl. That's my lady. Back off. Back off. Um, sorry, real quick in the chat. JD Taylor says another great show. And Steph says, I didn't miss that cowboy mug. Glad you didn't. I'm glad you didn't. This is probably the only thing winning with the Cowboys this next year anyway, because we looking awful. Don't get me started. Thank y'all. I appreciate you. This has been episode 66. So we still trucking, moving along. Again, if you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like it, share it, whatever. Whatever. Anything helps the channel grow. Anything helps us move forward and build this pot is good situation. Thank you, Tina. Appreciate you. Thank you, Val's girl. Appreciate you. Love y'all as well. And with that being said, I'm Cashmere, California, and I am out of here. Peace out.